Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a Plumeria Blossom. I'm going to be doing it step by step, and I'll show you how to do it from start to finish. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat for our live show, so if you have questions, you can ask those, and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I am going to be painting today on a 10 by 10 inch pro linen, not linen, cotton canvas Dixie from Fredrix. They provided our canvas today. It's gallery wrapped. It just means there's staples on the back, not on the sides. And I have kind of pre-sketched it, but I'll show you how to draw it here in a minute. Let's go over our brushes really quick. I've got a large number 12 bright, a number 4 Filbert, and a number 6 Filbert. This will be like the main two brushes that we'll use for most of the flower, I think. We've also got a 3/8 inch and a 1/4 inch angle brush for some detail work, and a number 1 and a number 2 round. These green handle ones are the 6100 series, and these are in the red handles are the VelvetTouch line from Princeton. They're our brush sponsor, so thank you to Fredrix and Princeton. It is very echoey in here today. We have a very blank walled studio today for our show. We are moving our studio to next week. Well, next Saturday we'll be in our new studio. So
yeah, last show in the old studio.
This is the last one. It's a little nostalgic. We've been in here for several years now. So, but we got a bigger space right across the hall that we're not going for. All right, let's go over our colors really quick. Carbon black, that's the color that I used on the background. Burnt sienna, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium red light, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, unbleached titanium, and titanium white. And oops, I already got some white on my canvas here. I'm already, I don't know where this white is coming from. I've been getting white on my hands. I was trying to get the last little bit of the white out of that bottle, and that was a mistake because the side of it broke open, and so now it's just like white is everywhere. I keep finding it. So we'll just have to touch that up. Oh, there's more. Sorry. Just all right. Feels weird. There's nothing on the walls. It just does not feel like our normal cozy studio in here. Mm-hmm. Very strange. All right, I'm going to pick up a little bit of titanium white here, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt sienna. We'll make kind of a warm blue-gray color. We want it more on the blue side than the brown side, so I'm going to use this large brush, and I'm just going to kind of fill in this flower in the direction that this petal is growing, so it's going to be going from the center out. So oh, I forgot to draw it. Let me do that real quick. This is actually one of the easier flowers to draw. So basically you're going to find a center mark, and you're going to do kind of curving lines out from it. Just pick a direction, do all of 5 curving lines out like that. It should curve out a little bit like that. Okay, and then you can kind of continue that line up and around. They kind of flatten off or make a point. This one's kind of bent over a little bit, so it doesn't make as much of a point. And then they come back in like that. So this one, same thing, goes out. And the ones that have the lines here are going to be on top. So do those first. And then, in fact, you can kind of continue these all out if you want to make sure that you don't accidentally cover them up, but these are all going to be coming out like that. And then this one's kind of more at a point. And what I did was kind of made sure that these all make sense. They're not actually going to be curving in, but you can kind of imagine that this is curving in below this petal. So this one should be kind of sort of starting to come back in like that. This one's going to curve out and make kind of a point there. Like that. And this one, again, curving out this way. Kind of flattening out a little bit. Out here, and then this is kind of coming in like that. And again, you can kind of imagine that this is curved this way underneath this, just so that this line makes sense. You don't want it to go like, you know, in a weird direction. So, all right, and then we're going to curve it up in here. Mark's going to be having to leave here in a minute because we've got some furniture being delivered today. So, right at in the middle of the show. He just called me beforehand. Like, I told him, just not at 2. And he's like, we'll be there at 2:10. I'm like, okay, well, that's still 2, but okay. Close enough.
Technically, no.
Technically not 2. Okay. All right, so then you can widen them out, but basically that's the idea. Pretty easy. And there is actually kind of an opening in that center, so they don't actually touch there. There's kind of a little hole, and they are kind of thick right in here. So if you wanted to draw those little thicker edges, you can. These are all kind of wide here. These leading edges are going to have a little bit of a thickness to them. Like that. Makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna go back to painting. It's really throwing me off that this is so echoey in here. Sounds so weird. I hope it doesn't sound weird on. Does it sound weird on the camera too? I just feel like I can hear every.
You can hear the echoes.
You can hear the echoes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite strange.
It is. It's very strange. I didn't realize how much the other stuff.
You got water on your canvas
I know,
too.
I see that. The other stuff in here made such a difference in the sound dampening. All right, let me get a paper towel here if I can get one to tear off for me. All the materials that we use today are listed down in the description, so if you are looking for paints or brushes or anything like that, there's all of the materials that I'm using are listed all down in the description there. All right, let's keep on going. Oh, I sure did I got a lot of it right there on that flower blossom. I think I'm going to use a little bit smaller brush. I feel like that brush is a little bit big. So let's use a large Filbert here. This is number 6 one. 6. Just put a little bit more on there. And I'm going to make a little bit darker gray for some of the shadow areas that we're going to be.
Hey, somebody asked, what if they can't draw?
If you can't draw, there is a traceable. So there, I create traceables from the finished design, and I post them on Patreon. They're $1 for a whole month of unlimited downloads for all of my traceable library. So there's over 200 and something probably now of new traceables from all of the tutorials that I've taught on YouTube and our bonus videos. So, and then you just trace it onto your canvas and you're good to go. You don't have to draw it all. All right, so I'm using a little bit of that darker color just at first here. The reason I'm not going in with straight white is because I want this to be a little bit tinted, so that when I put my white highlights on top, it's got some place to some contrast. There's not a whole lot of contrast in white flowers like this, so we have to build it up. Doing kind of a tinted white then will help when we do our brighter white on top. So I'm going to use the brighter white in this part here. And when I meet those up, I'm just going to kind of try to make sure that I got a little bit different color going against there so I can see where my drawing, the separation is. So either go lighter on this side or lighter on that side. But this side is the overlapping side, so I would put my bright highlight on that side and then put the darker color kind of in that ditch between the two. So we'll put a little bit darker color here. So hopefully everybody's doing well and having a good weekend. I've been off, my days have all merged together. Mark's been off all week helping me pack up the studio in our house, and I have not known what day it is all week long.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
We did get a little bit of a break. We went and saw our son for his birthday on
Yes, we did.
Wednesday night. Watched a concert with him, the kids. Spencer was dragged along to his first concert. It was a good one. Young the Giant. Fits in the Tantrums. And Coin. And probably, if you're like my friends, they're like, what? hadn't heard any of those bands.
What did she just say?
Exactly. I have literally one friend that likes to go to music concerts with me. Margaret. All right. So I'm just filling this in here. Sorry, I'm digressing here. Oh, yes, I was saying hi to everybody and I got distracted on. This is my brain this week.
Squirrel.
Moving has been...
It is amazing how something like that can just completely throw you for a loop.
Yeah.
And make you go, okay, where are we? What are we doing?
Right. It is. It's pretty. It's been a long time since we've moved anything. Now the studio kind of got a remodel about... let's see, when I started 2015, was that when I got the tables?
Yeah, I was going to say about 4 years.
Yeah, so it's not been too long, but...
Real quick, somebody asked, what color are you using?
This is that gray mixed with burnt sienna and burnt umber. Or not, sorry, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. There's the moving van, guys. Calling Mark, so he's... Bye-bye. So it was time for a remodel. Our studio was packed to the gills with stuff. So the new room has got not that much more room, but it's got a lot bigger closet, and it's enough extra room that it's worth moving over there. We're getting new floors for the whole house, so it was going to be moved anyways. So we kicked Spencer out of the big bedroom. Our 17-year-old. He's going to college after his senior year, so we figured we'll just kick him out a year early. No, joking. He's coming into this room where the studio is now, so. All right, so going through here and just making sure that I am bringing all these brush strokes in towards the center here. That's the main thing. You don't want to fill it in this way and have some weird stripes going in the wrong direction. So just make sure that you're pulling these petals in towards the center where they're going to be radiating out from. And I'm just doing it in this gray first, the whole thing, because the yellow will cover better over top of the gray than it would over the top of the black. So yellow is very kind of is cadmiums that we'll be using are more opaque of a yellow, but they still don't cover all that well over a dark color like black. So all right, this is bugging me, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this out and cover up that little white spot there on the canvas. And if you are using a black gessoed canvas, I still suggest that you paint it just like you would paint a white canvas white. Even if you're, going to be leaving the background white, you would still paint it. You want to cover that gesso. Plus, if you have things like this where you need to touch up, you will, the colors will match up. If you're using a black gesso canvas, they'll tend to be kind of matte. This is a much shinier, glossier black than gesso would be. So then you would have a ring of shiny black around your gessoed canvas. So it's just better to paint it. Alrighty. So these are dry over here, so we'll just kind of start working this way. I'm going to grab my number 4 Filbert, a little bit smaller one, and I'm going to grab some yellow oxide, some of my burnt sienna, and some of my cadmium red light. And I'm going to use that right in here. And it's just in this little bit here, so I don't have to go that far out with it. I'm going to go ahead and kind of tint over the top of this with a little bit of this color right in the center. And you can see how I'm kind of flicking out those edges so that they soften. They'll make it easier to blend this with the yellow later when I get my yellow in here. So just kind of flick out those edges so that you don't have a straight line there to try to blend. Okay, let's get a little bit of blue and a little bit of my yellow. And right down in the center there, there's this kind of a dark green color. Kind of neutral right in here. Keep it fairly dark. This is going to be the darkest part of our flower, so you need some depth in there. This is probably even still too light. I'll have to darken up that orange a little bit when we blend over the top. It's going to look really weird at first, so just kind of trust that we'll get it there. This one is going to be one that may not look real great when we're doing our first few layers. So alright, so I'm going to grab that cadmium yellow, medium now, and I'm going to go over the top and blend back in over the top. You can see how it's kind of blending in that. So it's not covering up that orange completely. I can grab a little bit more of that orange and come in this direction with it. Blend those two together just a little bit. Grab a little bit of white here. I'm going to just flick it. When I say flick it, I mean setting the brush down and I'm literally just levering it like this. I'm not dragging it at all. Just set the brush down and flick it in the direction you want it to go, and it'll get this broken line that you want for our flowers. Let's do this one over here. This one's more dry. I had a comment the other day about somebody saying that they're using a lot more paint than I do. And that actually is a really common comment that I get, a real common complaint that, you know, I put out very little paint, and when they go to paint it themselves, they end up with, you know, using 2 or 3 times the amount of paint that I use in my videos. And basically the key, there's a couple of different reasons that would happen. So one would be if I were to try to go into this gray and cover it up before it's dry, or if I continued to blend in one area here and tried to get it just perfect on like the first time that I add color on the first layer, what will happen is the paint starts to get sticky as it dries, and then it will take more paint to get it to cover. So I would have to keep adding paint to get the new paint to stick to the canvas, and then the undercolors would start to get gummy and they would grab more paint off the brush, and it's kind of a vicious cycle, and you end up ending, you know, with an area that's really globby, full of paint, and it still doesn't look good. So my suggestion is, even if it doesn't look good, and like mine's not done at all, you can tell, but I'm moving on, letting this dry, and I'm going to go back and continue to work on it. But you've got to let each layer dry. So when you put down this new color, if it doesn't cover in the first coat, that's fine. But if you keep working at it and keep messing with it and trying to get it to, you know, look finished in your first layer, it's going to use up a lot of paint, and it's not going to have a good result for you. So just be patient with the process and let it dry. In between, you've got to have lots of layers. We're probably going to have at least 4 layers on this before it's finished, maybe more. So just kind of know that going in, that you just have to kind of slow down, take your time, let each section dry, and move on, even if it doesn't look good to you. I think a lot of people try to, you know, and I did too. I'm talking to myself about myself here. Tried to get the finished results in the first layer of paint, which it just can't, you know, it just doesn't work that way. It takes time to build up the depth that you need, you know, for a finished painting. And so if you know that going in, then you'll maybe be a little bit more patient with it. Give it a little bit of time to dry in between layers, and then know that, you know, we'll get it there. It's just going to take some time. It's got to go through some ugly stages before it's going to start looking finished. So pull this out a little bit higher up here. That looks good. You're back.
I'm back. Are you done?
I'm all done. Yep. You missed it all.
Oh, all right.
How'd it go?
Went great.
Is it the right cabinet?
Yes, it is. And I'm glad I didn't have to carry it in.
Where was it? Restoration Hardware. We went to the outlet store and found a discount.
Yes, instead of having a cabinet set built.
Right.
Like, well, that's easy.
We found one.
It was a good deal.
It was. I'm mixing up some more of this orange. I don't know why I'm mixing it with this brush, because I'm not going to use this brush to do it.
It's very echoey in here.
It's super echoey. It's just, there's really nothing we can do about it. Sorry. Sorry, guys.
Now I'll do the fan on myself. It's hot out there.
All right. Grabbing some yellow or some of the white now. I'm going to have to do another layer of the white. Here, I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of this blue. And this time I'm going to leave it mostly blue for some of this. This painting, this one is deceptively simple looking, but it is actually, I find sometimes a little bit harder to do white flowers just because they have a lot less value shift, so you don't have those really easy ways to get it to look deep, you know, give it depth.
Okay, somebody just asked, what brush did you use on the yellow?
I used this brush. This is, I used the number 4 Filbert. It's the same, but it's just a smaller brush. I will switch to the bigger brush here for the bigger. I'm putting out a little bit of glazing medium that will just give my paint a little bit more time to work. Make sure that's not facing me because I don't want it to dry out my paints there, hon.
It's facing me.
Okay. Good. I'm going to use the edge of it, hold my brush upright here, and I pressed it flat so it's got a nice point to it. I'm going to hold it upright. I'm just going to draw it along that line of the outer edge there, and that'll create that petal edge. Bring it out just a little bit more.
Even your quiet fan I can hear pretty well.
I know, it's funny. It's just, I mean, I can hear the echo myself. I'm sure it's even worse than.
Just don't worry about it. So we'll move on.
Okay.
That will be nice in the new arrangement. I won't have this to knock my knees on anymore.
Exactly. You'll be in front of a real table. We actually built in an area for Mark to sit in that's like meant for him to sit at. Not just like stuck him in the corner like he is now. Oh, it's going to be nice.
Okay, go ahead and say it.
What?
Nobody keeps baby in the corner. Don't know exactly what that means, but I know it's a famous line.
It's from Dirty Dancing, I think. I don't remember when, but I just know it's from that movie. All right, so adding a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta there, and let's add it a little bit over here. This is a little bit bright, so I probably need to, actually I'm going to gray it out a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of black and my white with that magenta color. There we go. Make it a little bit less candy pink. A little bit more grayed out. There we go. Good, went a little bit darker right here with that black. In that area right there, and also right in here. You need to place that these flower petals are overlapping. You're going to have that shadow in there. Let's put some of this in here. Okay, so now it's starting to take some form. Get a little bit more white here and just kind of go over. There we go. Blend that in. Just grabbing white. I still have the pink on my brush. I'm just kind of going over the top to blend in just a little bit. And again, doing the same thing, and when I get to the yellow part, I'm just sort of flicking that brush so that it has a soft blend end to that color. Keep these colors very subtle. You don't want these to be overwhelmingly pink, so if it's looking like too pink to me, just add some, or to you, add some more white. You can even add the Unbleached Titanium, whatever. Add a little bit of that in. I'm spraying that with water to keep my paints moist too. So another problem with paints that happen, like if you're using too much and you're letting your layers dry and you're like, that's not the problem, then the other problem could be that you're not watering your brush or your paints enough. If you don't keep your brush hydrated, it's gonna absorb more of the water out of your paint, and it's going to make it go on a little tackier, a little thickly, and it won't spread as easily, so you'll end up with using more paint. So keeping your brush hydrated is also one of the things to look for. I'm trying to figure out if you're having issues. Alright, so I think I'm going to switch now to my angle brush. This is the 3/8" angle, and I need to put in some shadows along that side of the petal there. I'm going to add some yellow to this color, and I'm going to go in here. This is that burnt sienna and yellow oxide mixture that I made earlier. It's got a little bit of the cadmium red light in it as well. And now I've mixed some yellow. It's pretty thin, so I've got a little bit of cadmium yellow in here, and I've thinned it out a little bit with some water, maybe a little glazing liquid. We're just going to go in here and deepen up this color down in here. Deepen it up and make sure that there's a shadow along that one side where this petal is overlapping. Grab some of that cadmium yellow medium with a little bit of white. The white just makes it more opaque. And there we go. Blend it back this way.
You thinking over there?
I am. I'm just...
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
how we get the chickens in the studio. Pinky in the brain, sorry. Okay, so here's where we're going to have to start kind of being a little bit lighter touch with this. And I'm going to try to kind of gently glaze, blend, and not glazing, just blending in over that reddish area. I'm going to get a little bit more of that cadmium red light. And this is just straight cadmium red light here because I want it really bright right here. What's the matter? Got a red light there on the thing.
Yeah, I see that.
Are we having issues with the streaming?
It's kind of jittery.
Uh-oh. It's not good. Burnt sienna, cadmium yellow medium, a little bit of unbleached titanium to soften it up. Is it better now?
It's getting better.
Go back in here and darkening up that center area again a little bit. Grab some of that glazing liquid and more of my straight white now. I want to put out some brighter highlights. And we're going to go right down in there. Do you find it?
Spencer was streaming too.
Seriously? Unbelievable.
Maybe he didn't know that we streamed this time on Saturdays.
Yeah, because we only do it every Saturday. Okay, so just going back in with a brighter white. I'm trying to avoid some of the areas that I want to stay dark here, but I can always go back in and add more shadows if I need to. So what I'm trying to get is kind of a smooth blend between the yellow and the white and really brighten up this outer layer area here. There are some kind of wiggles on that petal too, so I want to add those in there. It's not perfectly smooth. There we go. Is it doing better now? Okay, so now you're starting to see it take shape here. Get some of that yellow and come through here. This is yellow mixed with that white. So it's a little bit softer, but we'll brighten it back up. We're just trying to get a nice smooth blend here. And I'm trying to cover up some of that orange because it really doesn't start till right in there, so I don't want it to be orange all the way out here. So I'm just kind of covering back up some of this too. Keep that orange down in the middle area. Go.
Okay. Somebody's got a question here regarding if they paint this and it comes out pretty decent, which
Right.
I'm sure it will,
Right?
because you're an awesome teacher. Anyways, they want to know, can they exhibit it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, they were wondering if there's any copyright issues or anything like that. So.
No, if you're going to sell it or exhibit or something like that, generally the best policy is to just mark where the inspiration came from. So, painted by your name and then inspired by Angela Anderson tutorial or something like that, or original tutorial by Angela Anderson, something like that.
And then you just spray paint that across the front of the painting?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
good.
No, but it is, just good etiquette for, it's not only for, for our channel, but it's also for the benefit of anybody who is going to buy it or anything like that. They need to know, you know, that it's from a tutorial. Some places won't let you exhibit art that's not completely original, so you might just have to look into the rules for that in your area, though, you know, so that could be a limiting factor. All right, so adding a little bit of yellow to that color, just trying to deepen and get that kind of blend from that dark to light. And I can go back in here and glaze some shadows in, which I might do, just to darken up some of these areas, but it's starting to come together here. Now I'm going back in, now that I put that white down, I'm going back in here with that brighter cadmium yellow medium. I'm saving the cadmium yellow light for the very end because it's really bright. It's almost neon colored, so we want it like kind of right along that area where the white meets the yellow. This is a warmer yellow, more orangey yellow here. Okay, so it's starting to come together here. I'm going to add a little bit of this green that's in the center of the flower if I can get some on here. Yeah, I'm going to have to just mix a little bit of blue in here with this. I'm going to use it right in here. Shadow this petal coming out, get a little water on there. In here, it's just got a little bit of green, a little bit of that blue added to the yellow. Creates the ultramarine blue is kind of a purpley blue, so it creates an olive green when you mix it with yellow, because those yellow and purple are opposite on the color wheel. So it's a nice neutral green. Will work well here. I'm going to add a little bit of red, which is also opposite blue, so it's going to even neutralize it more. There we go. Add a little bit of white. I'll use that over here. I'm going to use the glazing liquid just to thin it out. Glaze some of this color as a shadow. Make sure your undercolors are dry first before you do this, though. You don't want to be going over wet paint.
I miss my friend the dolphin.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He sits in the corner, looks at me, smiles at me all during the shows normally.
Oh, the dolphin from the other show. Okay. I decided I don't want it down here. I don't want that yellow tone down there. All right. Yeah. Miss your dolphin, huh? He's been up there for a while. That was one of our bonus videos. Alright, grabbing some more of that ultramarine blue mixture. Ultramarine blue and white. I'm going to come back this direction with that color. Going to soften up those edges of the yellow. I'm going to streak it in, and I'm going to even create a little bit more of that gray. Get a little bit of that burnt sienna with it. And I'm going to use the edge of the brush and just kind of draw in some streaks. You know, they have those kind of like little stripy things that happen. So do that.
What did you just put out there?
Glazing liquid. Just ran out. I need a little bit more there. Okay, let's use this to do this transition between this purpley gray here and the blue. Right there.
So why do you choose that color for your fingernails?
Because it was closest to the center of the flower. And because my fingernails were destroyed by the packing process. A nasty hangnail over here. And they're all chipped up, and you can see how short they are. Some of them are barely survived. It was bad. I stopped packing last night so that I could. You will thank me. Trust me, they were bad. I didn't even want to look at them. I wasn't gonna make anybody else look at them.
Hey, somebody wants to know, what does glazing liquid do?
It thins your paint out, so it changes the consistency of it. In heavy body acrylics, it makes them a little bit thinner, more workable. And it also has an extender in it. The glazing liquid that I use is from Golden. It's golden glazing liquid, yeah, satin or gloss. And it gives it a little bit of extended time to work the blending too. So, and with the heavy body acrylics, you don't want to use water, too much water, because they don't have a lot of binder in them. They're mostly pigment, or they're a lot more highly pigmented than like a craft acrylic that comes in a bottle. Those are 90%, like fillers and very little pigment. So you can water down as much as you want. You can, float with them and add water, and you don't have to worry about them not binding to your canvas. But with heavy body acrylics, you can only add so much water before they'll unbind and they won't stick to your canvas properly. So when you put in another layer on top, if you have a layer that's not had too much water added, it'll just lift off the canvas instead of when you add another layer over the top of it. And I've had that happen, so it's not fun. All right, adding white highlight just right along there. And adding white along the edge here. Bring it in a little bit farther. There we go. So we're getting close to the end here. Not a particularly difficult one, I don't think. It does have a lot of blending though. The drawing is not difficult. I would say it's probably along the lines of the red poppy. I'm guessing about that same level. It's not the calla lily that I did last month. Now, I thought it was going to be pretty easy, but it ended up being a little bit tricky because you were mixing purple into green, and those two colors, when they meet, turn to brown. So yellow and white are a lot easier to blend into each other, so I think that this one's a little bit more forgiving than that tutorial was. Thicken that out a little bit. I want to make sure that this is nice and bright, so I'm just going to keep going over it until it looks as bright as I want it to look. That black is bleeding through, and I almost didn't. Like, another option would have been to tone your canvas with like a yellow oxide and paint the flower and then paint around it with black, which might have been a better option for this one, especially just because this is such a light color that we're doing on it, so it's taking several coats to get that black out of there. That black keeps bleeding through. But I think we're getting there. So the bright areas in here, this part bends down a little bit, so we want to highlight right up here along that fold where the light's catching it the most. So I'm just going to go back and forth with this. I'm going to get some of that gray. I'm going to go this way with the gray. Let's get a little bit of that Quinacridone Magenta with the blue. Purpley. Just going to go back over that direction. Add that shadow back in. Are we having problems again? Huh?
No.
Okay. All right. Grab more of that white. Blend over. Oh yeah, we add a little bit of black to it. Black and Quinacridone Magenta and some white. I'm gonna add just a touch of the Cadmium Red Light as well. Let's use lots of glazing liquid with this, and we'll glaze in here. This is gonna look pretty obvious at first. I'm gonna clean that out. I'm just going to get some clear glazing liquid and go over the seam right here where I want to blend it in. And you got to do that quickly because it can end up drying pretty fast on you. So, and if you go over the edge of this, it's fine. You can pull that off later. I'm more worried about getting that blended nicely. And I can go back and clean up any overlapping that I got. It's pretty dark right there, and then I want to add a little bit of this to this area right here. Wipe that off, get some of the clear. I'm barely touching it down just to kind of get that blended. Let's do it right here. A little bit of that darker color. Got lots of glazing liquid. Very, very little paint. This is really subtle, so don't go too thick with your paint here. A little bit right there. Let's go ahead and tint over the top of this color there. More of it. Tint right there. Okay, so you can see what we're kind of going for here. Getting that tint happening. I'm going to add a little bit of it to the center here as well, deepen up that area. Okay. Getting that 3/8" angle brush, I'm going to get just on the tip of it. I'm going to get some of this Cadmium Red Light. And I'm going to go in here and I need to make sure that that color that I just added doesn't get lifted, so make sure that that's dry before you do this. Just thinning out that little area right there. Adding back in that bright pop of red. It's coming out a little far, but I'm gonna get my yellow again. Just push it back.
You've been pretty much using the same brush this whole time?
This is the quarter, yeah, the 3/8" angle seems to be getting in there pretty well. So, all right, so now I'm going to start using this yellow, cadmium yellow light. If I can get some that's fresh here.
Okay, we got a question about a group that you talked about in the Facebook the other day.
The what?
You mentioned a group the other day in the Facebook chat for YouTube artists offer.
Uh-huh.
What was that group called?
DIY Mastermind. It's kind of a group by request. It's a private group.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by request only. Like you have to know somebody to get in.
Okay, so they have to invite you.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why
I don't
you
know
haven't found it.
It's not my group, so. What? Yeah, that's somebody else invited me. Yep. Or you are YouTube Mastermind, I think it's called. Or something like that. Okay, so you can see how much brighter this cadmium yellow light is. It's not wanting to stick right there because it's still wet. So try not to blend too much right there because it's lifting. And that may be right there too. I'm going to have to avoid that area. Let that dry a little bit. I'm going to go right up over the top because this is actually yellow where these come down in here. That center area.
So, fun fact, you don't get plums from plumerias.
Yeah. Really? Nothing to do with plums at all?
No, and actually they don't even look like them, so I think they need to change their name. A little misleading.
It's true. Did you call that a fun fact?
Of course.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, so it's a plumeria, which, again, the name is deceiving. And then it's in the dogbane family, so I don't understand that either.
The what?
Dogbane. Dogbane.
Whoever named it was a little confused.
Yeah.
Just all around, it sounds like.
They're indigenous to Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. Or Caribbean, depending on where you're from.
Interesting. They're pretty big too, from what I remember seeing the pictures. That they're kind of like hibiscus size, maybe flowers, if I'm not mistaken. Do they grow in clusters? I can't remember. I've seen them.
Again, you would think you would get biscuits, but you don't from hibiscus. So, yeah, they can grow in groups. Yep.
How big do they get? Like the blossoms.
I don't know. Let me see. Frangipani is a name.
Yeah.
Description. Oh, they're most fragrant at night to attract moths to pollinate them.
Interesting. That's cool.
I mean, they don't look too huge,
They're not big? Okay.
but again, all they're just pictures of the flowers, so there's no other reference around
You don't
them.
have a Wikipedia page where it says.
I just looked, it didn't give me dimensions. All kinds of different colors, though. Whites, blues, purples, pinks.
Okay, so going back in here with that yellow, the white now, and just softening up that blend between the colors.
People are seeing a couple inches.
Leave the. Oh, they're not that big then. Okay. I guess I was mistaken.
I guess he attract vampires
More like
too.
Oleanders. What?
Somebody in chat says he attracts vampires also.
Because of the night blooming.
I don't know about that. And they see that ladies in Hawaii wear them in their hair,
Oh yeah.
so they can't be too big, I guess.
Right. Okay, so just blending with the white now, trying to kind of smooth these transitions. They do have some streaks in them, so don't blend out all the streaks. But just kind of trying to soften that up a little bit. Mm-hmm. There we go, we're getting there. And there's kind of a white streak that comes up pretty far in here, so I'm just going to flick some white up in there. I'm going to grab some of that yellow and come this way. Go around the outsides of it.
Are you dry brushing?
No, I'm keeping it fairly wet. And these colors will dry darker as they, dry, they get darker, acrylics do. So just keep that in mind when you're laying on your colors. You can go a little bit brighter than you think you need, and they'll deepen up a little bit as they dry. So okay. Get a little bit more white here. Use the tip of this brush to draw in brighten up those white areas there where we want it really bright along that edge. And then I'm going to go on the inside of this one. Leave that dark side there. Just kind of the bottom of the petal. We can outline it a little bit. And this one. And I'm not going all the way down in the middle because I want to leave that little bit of yellow right in the middle there. But I'm going right on the outside here with that really bright white. Grabbing some of that yellow, adding some white. Cadmium yellow I hear that we're using.
Have you used any phthalo green?
Any type of what?
Phthalo green.
No, it's on the list, but I didn't end up using it. I decided I didn't need it. If I had needed a brighter green, I would have used it. So like if you were putting greenery with this or something like that, you know, adding leaves or something, then you would need it. But because you can't get a bright green from these colors unless you added a phthalo blue or something. But might as well just start with phthalo green if you're gonna need green. So, but we don't need it. So we're just doing a blossom. This is part of this series, so if you like these large flowers and you're new to our channel, you can check out, I've got a playlist of over a dozen, maybe more, probably more, large flowers like this that are just single blossom flowers on a canvas, kind of Georgia O'Keeffe style. And we got roses and pink daisies, poppies, peonies, dahlia, orchid, lily. Trying to think if I've missed any. Oh, the calla lily that I mentioned. We just did an oriental poppy that was really pretty. Kind of an orangish color one. So we do one, usually about one a month. Maybe every other month we have a new one. These are just one of my favorite things to paint, and it seems like the audience likes them too, our audience, so it's a win-win. Everybody's happy. Alright, I'm adding a little bit of burnt sienna to this cadmium red light here. There we go.
So somebody said that you're very patient. Do you ever feel like giving up?
There are certain paintings that I do. There are certain paintings that that one that we did a couple weeks ago, that canyon painting. If I had been painting it on my own and not had an audience, I wouldn't have given up totally. I'm too stubborn to give up completely. I'll come back to it, but I would have stopped when I started getting frustrated and come back to it, because I find that I just paint better when I'm not frustrated, you know, when I'm in a good state of mind. But sometimes it doesn't work out, and so just have to kind of push on. But the thing with that is that you have to be careful, is that you'll tend to not paint for a couple weeks or a month or something if you let yourself, let me see where we're at right here. If you let yourself stop every time you get frustrated, so there's a fine line there between, knowing when to stop and giving up. And, if you tend to not try, well, that made a pretty bright red, bright green, the cadmium yellow light with the cadmium, or with the ultramarine blue. That wasn't too bad. I'm gonna go back in here and add some of that in here in the center.
And they also want to know, does the black background help give just like a natural shading?
Yeah, it does. It does a little bit, and it also just has a really good dramatic look to it. I like the look of that black background with these flowers. It just really makes the colors pop. Adding that green in the middle there. And then I'm going to grab this brush here. This is the number 1 round. Get a little bit of that green, get my cadmium yellow light. Actually, let's get the cadmium yellow medium. It's a little bit darker. My paint's getting sticky, so I gotta find some clean. So I want to blunt off the ends of these a little bit because they kind of curl under. So I want to kind of do a little curve right there where it's curving in.
So somebody wants to know, could they use a dark purple or Prussian blue for the background?
Yeah, it'd look beautiful with them, especially with the yellow here.
So they can use about any color.
I think so.
Except white.
Right. Yeah.
Or yellow, maybe.
Yeah, that might be a little too much, but...
So if they got colors in their house they want to match it to, they could use that possibly.
I would use one of the colors that's on the palette already, that's in this.
Okay.
So I would mix up a blue with the Prussian blue is similar to, you could mix ultramarine blue and black and a little bit of your yellow to get a Prussian type blue. That's probably what I would do. I don't like to introduce a new color with my background. So it just tends to look better if it's already one of the painting colors. You have no chance of it clashing that way. Just bring these all a little bit closer together here. I'm going to make a red out of the Quinacridone and Cadmium Red Light. And make a bright cherry red. Use this very sparingly. I don't want it to overpower anything, but I'm going to use it right in here. Right at that brightest point. Well, you got that really tight there, don't you?
So people can see what you're doing.
Okay.
We'll zoom out now.
I'm going to tint the tips of the yellow just a little bit with a little bit of this color, just glazing over the top, just slightly, just to kind of disappear it a little bit, just in the very tips of those swirls. Now, this is where I stop and I'll look at the painting and see if there's anywhere that is obviously, needs work. So it's looking pretty good. If I needed more white, I'd add more white. If I needed more shadows in some of my areas, I could do another layer glaze. But I'm pretty happy with it overall, I think. It could maybe use a little bit of... Let me go ahead and... let's use the angle brush again. Use a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow medium with the burnt sienna here. Glaze. And I'm going to do it right in here where they meet, the orange and yellow meat. Just gonna soften that up just a little bit right there. And I can use this color to kind of tone along this edge of this petal. It's just a little bit deeper shade of yellow, so it's still close to our original yellow colors, but it's got just a little bit more depth, so I can use it to shadow. That burnt sienna just adds a little bit of darker tone to it. Still in the same color family. Scrape off a clean spot to work.
That's coming through nicely.
It's coming through nicely. That sound. Nails on a chalkboard. Sorry. Need a new knife. I've already gummed it all up. I'm not going to try to clean that. I'll cut myself. I know myself too well.
Do I need to clean it out for you?
Yes, if we can clean it. I don't know if it's possible. All right, that's good enough. I just needed a clean spot to work on so I can see the colors I was working so close to these other colors, I really wasn't able to see what I was mixing. Okay, so let's add some cadmium yellow medium, or cadmium yellow, yeah, medium to the cadmium red light. So this is the same basic color, it's just instead of the burnt sienna, I'm just adding a little bit of the brighter color. I'm gonna glaze again with this. One more time. Come in close, but not over the top of all that red. Just adding a little bit of that glow out. All right, I think we're getting close. So I'm gonna get my round brush one more time. I'm gonna get some clean white. And I'm going to go right along that edge of this where I want it brightest. One last time, really pop that color out. Kind of flicking it over the top of that transition between this yellow and the white so they blend a little bit. Or they kind of blend in where they meet. All the way out. And kind of doing a little bit of a wiggly edge right there. Actually, I don't think it comes out that far. If you can catch it while it's wet, you can wipe that right off. You can see, just used a damp cloth and wiped it off. There we go. That's closer to what I want. I'm going to use a little glazing liquid here. Glaze some of that white over that edge. I'm just using a towel to kind of dab off the extra paint that I put on there. Notice that petal was curving in too much right there. It kind of needs to go straight right up to that spot. I'm going to get a little bit more of that purple Quinacridone Ultramarine in black. And some white in there as well. Okay. This is just white coming back in the opposite direction. Wipe that brush off. Dab it to blend it. Okay, there we go. That whole thing could have been avoided if I just noticed that little bit right there wasn't connected right. So, you know, you may not have to do that. Like I said, this is going to be, you know, the point where you can stop at any point that you like it. So just know that going in. You don't have to do all these steps the same as I am, because you may not have to fix anything or add more color. You may have put down more color the first time. or you may need to go back in and lighten it up. You know, you just kind of have to sort of figure out on yours what you're missing or what needs to be done. Add some more of this shadow color in here. I've got no shadow color on this one at all anymore, so I'm going to go in here and add some of the blue glaze, a little bit of white, ultramarine blue and white, glazing liquid. We're going to go over the top right here. And it'll turn that color green right there where where it's over the white, it'll be blue, but then when it hits that yellow, it'll turn a little bit of green right there. Just giving a little shadow right there and a little shadow right here. And then right in here. Make sure you've got enough glazing liquid that you can get a nice smooth glaze there. I think we're pretty close. You can tell though that there's some areas that are really popping white on the example that we're not getting on this. So I'm going to add a little bit more bright white. Move to the number 6 here so I can cover a bigger area more quickly. And very carefully just flicking a little bit of this on. I don't want to overpower the whole painting with it. I've got this glazing and subtle color going on, so just want to beef up the brightest areas. And just a little bit of the brightest white. This I am kind of dry brushing on, setting the brush down and just kind of letting it drag and break up. It's pretty thick with paint though, it's not dry paint going on. Too much over that area there. So if you're part of the bonus video patrons, the $5 level patrons, our original schedule said that we were going to be filming tomorrow, but we're not because of the studio move. We just decided we really needed to get this stuff out of here since they're starting on Monday. So we're going to be doing the bonus video next weekend on the 21st. So if you're one of those patrons, I think we made a post, so if you want more information, it's on patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. And you can sign up for that bonus video if you want to join us for that. It's $5. It also includes reference photos and traceables, so you get high definition reference photos of the finished painting and the reference photo that I'm using that's up in the corner there. And it also includes links to all the old bonus videos. So if you want to see that, I think we posted the old bonus videos on Instagram recently. I think we did a post that had either that or my newsletter. I can't remember anymore. But somewhere I should be able to find information about the bonus videos that we've got available. If you scroll back on Patreon, I know that we had some posts about it there. So, all right, I think I'm going to call that pretty much done. I just noticed that that's a little bit bright right there. I could mess with this for longer, but I think I'm liking that, so I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. Let me sign it real quick. And use, I found that this brush, the 2/0, seems to be working really well for me. 2/0 round, 2/0 round. Add a little bit of that glazing liquid in there so that I can get it to stick. And I'm going to add some blue so that it's a little bit tinted. It's not super bright white. I'm noticing that this has a little bit of grayness, so I want to get that black, touch up that area right there. I need to move that out of the way. It's too thick. Alright, there we go. Subtle, maybe a little too subtle, I don't know, but we'll see. Alright guys, thanks for spending your Saturday, or time out of your Saturday, I should say. You can get that done pretty fairly quickly for this one, not too long. And we'll be back next Saturday if all goes well. Fingers crossed. If we're not here, then you'll know why. I'll make sure that I post it if there's something happens and, you know, unforeseen problem.
Remodeling issues.
There's no telling. There is tile that's cracked in that bathroom, so I'm worried when they take that floor, the carpet up, that there might be a crack in the foundation. We'll see. Fingers crossed that that's not happening.
We'll just put the carpet back and be done.
Hopefully we won't jinx ourselves there. Yeah, we can put the carpet back and pretend like it's not there. All right.
So next Saturday is the delphinium.
Yes, the flower of the month, delphinium, the little bitty one. And then Sunday, for the bonus video, we're painting a boat with the sunset water. It's kind of just the prow of the boat. If you did the rowboat that had the lake reflections, it's in that same look. It's got the prow of a boat, but it's got a sunset and reflections of the trees on the water, so it should be pretty. All right guys, thanks for watching with us today, and If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We'll be back. We're not doing our Tuesday nights because of the remodeling and things going on this summer. But we'll be back next Saturday if all goes well.
And no chat Thursday this Thursday, correct?
Yeah, no chat. I don't think we're going to have the studio set up by Thursday.
Okay.
So we'll just do an extra long one for our patrons. I've already told them about that, though. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.